So,
I know nothing about cars. Like,
okay.
Nothing.
I know a little bit about cars.
If this was guitars, that'd be good. But cars,
You just don't like Porsche?
Porsche.
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 Hello and welcome to another Critique of the Community. Today we're going to be critiquing automotive photography, but if you would like to be a part of the next critique, you can sign up right now using the link below. We're going to be doing...
The next genre we're going to do, let's do beauty photography.
Beauty photography it is. We recently had another tutorial uploaded to the Fstoppers store done by the Retouching Academy, and it's all about beauty and hair retouching. And if you're into this sort of thing, definitely check out that tutorial. But in the spirit of that tutorial, we're going to do beauty photography. So if you'd like to be a part of that, check out the link in the description below. But let's get into this one right here. This is the first image, and this is the winner. This is the highest rated image from the automotive critique. Feel free to head over to fstoppers.com/store and check out the Fstoppers tutorials. Those are the ones that are free for the winners. Are you ready to rate this?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Really? 5 stars?
I mean, I don't know much about automotive photography, and I know that's going to drive everyone crazy in the comments. To me, this is like a pretty world-class image. Like, I don't know, this just looks badass. Like, if this was the first picture on your website, I would feel like this guy is at the top level.
Incredible car, obviously. I love the lighting on the car as well. I feel like the retouching is a little... Like if you look close at the way that the street's blurred and everything, you know, I don't know if the lights have been added and fake, like...
What should I be looking at to say like that? I don't see like no blur on the edge or anything. Everything looks consistent.
Well, it's not that sloppy. It just doesn't look like this was taken in camera to me. This kind of feels like a composite, which is okay. But it just, the post-processing is not as clean as some other car shots I've seen, and so for that reason I gave it 4 instead of 5. But I mean, 4 is still excellent.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see like actual images from a manufacturer's website and see if you thought like it looks too retouched. It's a little sloppy because it looks composited.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like if you checked out Bentley's website, I bet their photos would just have a little bit more polish, but I mean, this is still a fantastic shot. The community gives this 3.76 stars, so they liked it less than I did.
That's kind of crazy.
All right, so next we're going to pick a random number 2 through 20. Go.
Let's go 7.
7. So when we get to number 7, that's going to be the one random winner. This is number 2. Are you ready to rate?
Automotive. Yeah, I guess. 3,
2, 1. So it all depends on what genre you're shooting, right? And whether or not this should be on your website. And I just feel like this is an interesting shot. Like what's going on here is super interesting. The car itself doesn't look too great. It's obviously like falling apart from this track. It's kind of dirty. The background's kind of ugly. So it's not like this incredible commercial photo. It's kind of like a photojournalistic photo.
Right. You're shooting like rallies or sports or something.
Right.
And you're showing that you're able to capture cars in motion.
So if this is your job, then I think this could certainly be on your website. But if you ever want to get into commercial car photography, then I would say this should not be on your website. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I guess we're just going to find this thread throughout this entire critique is, are these photographers trying to shoot for the biggest brands and do commercial work, or is it something else, you know? This is definitely something else.
The community gives this 2.59 stars, a little less than we gave it as well. It's interesting. How do you think they did that?
I mean, most of this looks like it could just be done in Photoshop.
Like even the reflections on the car,
well,
you think was done in Photoshop?
That's the part that's difficult. I
wonder if this is there any way this is a toy car?
You never know these days. I mean,
I know, I've seen a lot of toy car pictures that are fantastic. I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. I was in between a 3 and a 4. something about this, like the way that these lights are reflecting off this paint, nothing's straight and it's kind of squiggly and everything.
I wish the middle lines were straight. I feel like you could even just clone them out and redraw them in there, you know? I don't mind that the other ones are bent and shaped around the car. I think that's kind of cool, but I do wish the one on the hood was straight. I don't know this is like any kind of crazy world-class image, but if you had this one image in a big portfolio, I think it would make clients stop and be like, oh, that's cool.
It's very unique.
It's able to show what you're capable of doing, which I think is always important. And I'm the first one to admit, like, I'm not a car guy. I never went through a car period. I don't care about cars at all, which again is probably going to make everyone really upset in the comments. But what's going on with these lights? Is that how the car is? Does it have 4 lights? It looks like a spider. Is that the design of the car, or is that some kind of reflection of the light up here is reflecting in the bottom?
I like cars a little bit, so I should know the answer to that, but I am not familiar.
It looks weird. It looks weird to me. But maybe that's the way this car is designed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Very interesting. I'd love to know in the comments on Fstoppers. Please let us know how you shot this and if this is a full-size car and everything, because very interesting. Community gives it 3.12 stars.
I'm also thinking how these images are kind of presented. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes them fit into a use and a purpose.
Right.
And then I'm trying to rate them on a scale based on that. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but...
I agree.
All right.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. I was in between a 2 and a 3 on this one, whether it should hit your website or not. It just doesn't feel polished enough. You know, if you were selling your car, this would be like the ultimate Auto Trader picture.
Right.
But should this be on your professional car photography website as like, pay me to come take pictures of cars like this? I personally don't think this really holds up. I feel like the lighting is a little sloppy, and you know, there's just like junk on the ground that could easily have been cleaned up. There's weird reflections up in the sky that could have easily been cleaned up. And these are all details that don't bother me too much. Mostly it's just the lighting on the car. I feel like you could have done something a little bit more interesting.
What's the deal with cars? Like, you've shot a car too, like turning the wheel in. Like, something about the front of this car looks really weird to me.
Well, that's very true. So
it's like, does the tire need to be turned harder or turned out the other way?
Usually, I think you would normally shoot the car a little bit more from the front and then turn that wheel out just a little bit so you can see the rim a little bit better. But this is almost a profile shot of this car, and then the wheel is turned and it kind of makes it look like the car's been in a wreck or something. So,
and then again, my ignorance here, like, the license plate is like not in the center. I feel like you should clone the thing out altogether.
Yeah, you
like,
should have taken that out before.
Would you ever have a license plate
in a real car shot?
In a real car shot?
No, you wouldn't. So yeah, it's just all these little details. It's just not like a super high-end photo. And for everybody who loves talking trash to us that we don't know what we're talking about, I have shot cars before. I don't know if you've seen the picture I shot of my dad's Camaro. Like, we did a whole video about how we did it. I shot it in a couple different ways. So like, I have a little bit of experience. Plus, we got to go and we got to shoot a Lamborghini and stuff. Like, we understand the premise of shooting cars, even though we may not understand that much about cars in general. So,
I know nothing about cars. Like, okay. Nothing.
I know a little bit about cars.
If this was guitars, that'd be good. But cars, I
thought about buying this Toyota or Subaru, but
so you don't even know which one.
It's both. That's the interesting thing about this car. Both manufacturers make this car with a different badge on it. 2.48 stars is what the community gives it. How in the world did he do this? That's impressive. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. I was in between a 4 and a 5. The reason I didn't give it a 5 is because I just feel like the way that this thing is exploding out, it kind of looks like a mess. And I've seen a bunch of exploding cars or car part pictures before that are like meticulously done. And this is so well done. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I feel like it's the angle of the camera. It's this like weird 3/4, like it's not a profile, it's not straight on.
But it also feels like the opposite side of the car that's away from us is flipping towards us. Like the back tire is so much higher than the front tire, you know what I'm trying to say, not the back of the car, but the passenger side of the car.
We have a friend who recommended doing an Fstoppers video with a guy in New York who does this sort of thing, and his work is phenomenal. And I'm in my mind comparing what he does to what is done here. And, there's like stuff like these little bolts here, but, a car like this probably has like thousands of bolts. So it's like he kind of picked and chose which ones should have been there. It's cool. And if you are capable of doing this, then I think, you could probably take any type of job that does this and be able to pull it off. But when you just glance at it,
does it also feel like the color and lighting on the engine is like
warmer?
Well, there's no doubt that, but it almost feels like it was taken from like stock or something. Like the photographer that took every piece of this car is not the same photographer that took the picture of the engine, and the engine doesn't fit. Color's part of it, but it also feels like it was lit with hard light on the engine and much softer light across every part of this car.
I mean, there's a lot of hard light on this car, too. I feel like all of the underside of the wheel well and the tire, like all of that's hard light. I don't know.
I don't know. I would say there's a lot of fill going on. Like if you look under the car, you'd expect to see a lot more pure black. I mean, look at this engine. There's tons of pure black all over the engine. It just feels like the style of lighting is not the same to me on that engine. It kind of pulls me out of the shot a little bit. I don't know. I mean, it's still incredible. I still give it 4 stars, no doubt. But
yeah, I almost feel like you're just seeing too much. Like I would like to see the angle of the camera placed in a different place,
You gave it 4 stars too?
Yeah, I mean, It's still an incredible shot.
Community gives it 3.46 stars. Ooh, name that car, Patrick.
That is a Saucony.
Yep. What year?
That looks like it's right around 99, 2000.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
It's got the updated brake pads.
Saucony, they make the running shoes
too? They used to do cars, but now they just do the shoes.
Okay. Pretty sure it's the Acura NSX, right? Watch, I'm going to be wrong too. This is well done. Are you ready?
I am.
3, 2, 1.
So you gave this the 5.
I gave this the 5, and here's why. When I compare this to other car shots that you can see in like the pamphlets or on their websites or whatever, this fits right in with me. Maybe I would never say, like sometimes I say 5 stars should be unforgettable. This is a forgettable shot. Like it's not blowing my mind, but it's just everything about the lighting on the car is just perfect and simple and plain. Like it's not like that one shot that we saw of the Mercedes with the insane lighting, right? This is just like exactly how you would expect it to look in the book when you go to the Acura dealership. The background is a little grungier and it's not as polished, but that is very common in today's advertising with these cars. So I give it 5 stars just because this is the type of stuff that I'm used to seeing at the highest level. And although it's not quite as completely polished as it could be, I think the photographer did that on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I really do love this shot. The things that pulled me out of it, and I don't even know if they're bad things. I just don't really like the red in the background. I mean, that's like the brake lights, but it just seems like you make this all monochromatic in the back.
I might
you
like that.
I
never like noticed it really, but I just kind of feel like it ties the whole thing together. There's a little bit of red in the upper left.
I love the upper red left, and I kind of don't like the blue in the the left side.
I just like that color contrast, and it's so faint that my eye doesn't go to it. It's just kind of like it gives you this feeling of like man, this picture is just
Yeah.
got it going on.
There's no doubt, though, like, this belongs in your portfolio.
Oh, of course. Community gives it 3.53 stars.
What was the first image's community rating?
3.75,
Okay, so this just barely missed being the best picture we've seen so far.
Yeah. All right, here's number 7. Congratulations, you have won a free tutorial. David will send you a message on Fstoppers, so feel free to pick out whatever tutorial you want in the Fstoppers store. All right, ready?
Ooh,
You know where you're going to rate this.
I mean, I think I do.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars, we agree. I mean, it's not a snapshot. It's certainly not a snapshot. And I feel like with just a little bit of lighting and post-processing, I mean, this could be a 4 or 5 star image easily. But it looks like the guy's standing there with the kickstand down because there's no motion blur. So even if you didn't capture motion blur in camera, I'd love to see you fake it. You know, you can do it in Photoshop, or there's software that is incredibly expensive, I believe, that does blur of scene like this. I wish that you had put a strobe camera left and really lit this guy from an interesting angle, and at the same time you were able to drop the exposure of the background a little bit, make it a little bit darker back there,
Yeah.
and then really work on that motion blur of the scene and like pan that camera as he went by. Because I think the model looks good, the bike looks cool, the location's incredible, but because everything's sharp, it just kind of feels a little cheap to me.
See, I don't know if I'm really digging this location. Like, this looks like a concrete plant or something. And it's got so many leading lines coming in.
Okay.
I don't know. It looks a little strange to me. I almost want the car to be, or the motorcycle to be coming at you a little bit more, maybe. And then the lines are coming in towards him, but he's coming out of the frame. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this picture. I'm trying to think of ways to critique this so people would be like, oh, that was helpful. But yeah, I just don't know if I like a lot of these pictures are probably going to have this issue where the vehicle itself is very sharp and industrial and like it's like a machine. But then you put it in an environment that's very industrial. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like, to me, this is almost like this guy's trespassing, or I don't know. It just gives me a vibe that's he's not taking control of the road, you know. Or
I see what you're saying.
I don't know if I'm articulating
You know, with
that
the,
well
with the
enough.
level of blur though that you could put on the background, I'm not sure if maybe this like weird black pipe that's on the left side would be a little bit much, but the ones that are on the right are kind of working
maybe
for
if this
me.
was just at night and it looked more industrial and it had like the green vapor lights lighting it and stuff, you know, and it just had like a different feel. But this just feels like a weird time of day.
Community gives it 2.05 stars. They finally agree with us. This looks like a Felix Hernandez shot, but it doesn't quite feel
This feels like an Instagram
like
shot.
his work.
This would have like 5,000 views and likes and
Hopefully more than 5,000 views. 3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree. So right now in my mind, I'm comparing this to other images by Felix, and I'm watching David laugh over there, and he could be laughing because it is Felix's work, or he could be laughing because it's not Felix's work. I don't know. This feels a little sloppier to me than what I've seen Felix do, which makes me think this isn't Felix's work. But then if it is,
it's not his best work.
what do I know? What do I know? Yeah, it just doesn't like...
But it's got to be some of his best work if it is him, because he submitted this to the critique.
But he's got incredible pictures of cars jumping and smoke and everything. This is just, with the blown out... I don't even know if that's like a headlight and the blown out inside the car. Like, it's just strange. It doesn't feel right to me. Do you think this is a real car, or this is a model? Like, it feels like a model to me.
I mean, it feels like that car wouldn't even start. So I have to imagine, like, how many photographers in our community are like towing a truck that doesn't start to a location? Like, it's got to be fake, right? I'm totally reading into this. Like, maybe this is like a really famous car that people photograph all the. It's like the plane in Iceland, where everybody goes there. It's like kind of fine art, I guess, maybe. Like, this isn't an automotive like advertising shot, but it's so weird with like the one light on and the lights inside, I just keep thinking like
it's very strange. But then you see,
is there like handprints?
Yeah, there's a handprint on the window. Which
I want to see like
think,
some feet up there, and it's like, the sex scene where people are in the steamy car and it's like it's lit. I don't know. It's a weird shot. I don't get this kind of stuff. This looks good on Instagram and people like it because it's like trendy and millennial. I don't know. But in terms of making a career out of this, or this image having value in some way.
Well, let's see who took it. Felix Hernandez. All right, so I was right.
So what does that mean? Does that mean, one, is this one of his favorite shots?
I don't know.
And two, does that mean it has to be a model? Like,
yeah, I think it's definitely a model. I mean, I think it's a model. Felix, I'm a huge fan of your work. I just feel like this one is a little sloppier than some of your other pictures that are like all world-class pictures. So that's why it kind of threw me off a little bit. But it seems like the community kind of agrees with us. They gave it 3.25 stars. We each gave it 3 stars. So it's a good shot. It's just not, it's not like mind-blowing like some of the other ones that he's done. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We throw it confidently.
I was going to give it 5, but I thought about it.
Yeah? You just don't like Porsche?
Porsche.
So
I think this shot is one of those where like they took all the effort to do this in camera and get it right. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. But in many cases, getting it right in camera is so overly complicated to do well that it looks cheaper. And it's one of those where they're like, but I got the car and the platform and I held the camera down and we both drove and like we waited till we got to the trees and it was autumn, and you make this thing bigger than it needs to be, and therefore you put value on the photo because it was difficult to take. And all of that could be done in post.
I agree.
And done on such a better level.
I feel like, first of all, the shot's not really even correctly exposed. I feel like it's overexposed. We got blown out highlights in the sky. We've also got a lot of blown out highlights on the car itself. So I feel like it's a little overexposed. I feel like the saturation is set to 1 million and looks kind of crazy to me. I think you're exactly right. Like, maybe this is the photographer's car, the photographer's dad's car or whatever, and they're like, ooh, I'm going to go out and shoot like the pros do. But instead of like working on getting a polished shot, you were just excited to like go out and test things, which is great. Like, we all do that to this day. But when the answer to the question, when the question is, should this be in my portfolio? The answer to that question is no.
Okay,
Alex
Trebek.
I don't think people are going to pay you for quality like this, but it's an excellent first start, and keep working at it. I don't really like the location that much either. For a Porsche like this, I kind of feel like I want to see it on like Irish countryside or something with like the mountains and the water.
Yeah, and I don't think you ever really want to shoot with like a privacy fence
right.
or wall.
Right. It's like the majority of the shot is neon blue road and then white sky, So it's just...
The crop's weird too, I feel like. I don't know if there's like a better way to crop it, but if we're going to critique everything...
Yeah, I agree. So Patrick has just zoomed in and kind of moved the car to the bottom right part of the frame, and I feel like that's a much better looking image. Now there's very little road. You don't see any of the blown out white sky. That makes it much, much better. Very close to giving it 3 stars at that point, just by cropping it. But, there's also a lot that you could probably recover in RAW with this image, but community agrees with us. They give it 2.04 stars. Are you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. I'm in between a 2 and a 3 on this one. I like the concept. I think the model looks good. His hair maybe doesn't look as good, but he's like an in-shape guy. I get it. I wouldn't model. I would not be a model for this car shot, all right? But the fact that he's kind of looking over to the right and his mouth is open and everything, it doesn't feel to me like this was a professional photo shoot where they worked all day to get one perfect shot. It just kind of feels like, oh, I just, took this quick picture of my buddy,
I feel like our car broke down on the way to LA, and I don't know anything about cars, so I'm going to take pictures while you try to fix this thing while the tow truck comes, or AAA.
If that's I feel like it's better than that. Like it's an interesting exposure overall. I like the color grading that was done to it.
Oh yeah, but the photographer, he took that shot and then he color graded it and made that look like that after the fact.
Okay.
If this was a planned out shoot, it just seems like there's not enough. Like there's just not enough planning going into it to make this the shot that you're going to walk away with.
I agree. So there's some things that are working, but it just doesn't quite feel like a totally thought out professional shoot. Community agrees and gives it 2.1 stars. Ooh. Now, this picture has a very similar vibe and color palette to the Porsche shot that we just saw.
Oh, I was thinking the other car that was shot up the field. It's falling apart. Is that image number 2?
No, it's not like that at all.
No? You don't think so?
How is this like the car that's falling apart?
It's got a lot of greens, and it's like a race.
Well, maybe I'm thinking of a different car. I thought we were talking about the one on the white.
No. This car. Like, it's like action, sports. It's like race track
Okay.
sort of thing. It's like you're sitting in the stands or you're somewhere on the...
This does not feel to me like... Let's rate it. 3, 2, 1. I gave it 4, you gave it 3. This, to me, does not feel like I'm sitting in the stands taking pictures. This feels like I'm a professional motorcycle photographer. And...
Yeah, but you're like higher above them, and they're going around a track, or you position yourself somewhere, and like there's 50 of these guys going by, and you're technically pulling off this great shot. Is it Dave Black's the Nikon ambassador that does this kind of stuff all the time?
No.
But he'll have speed lights and do it. I don't know. It's like a solid execution of the technique, and maybe for this type of racing, this is like great, but. I don't know. Like
I'm not.
This seems like a child's poster, in their bedroom.
I agree.
Or something.
I agree.
I don't know what you do with this beyond I shoot events, and this is what I'm capable of doing.
Right. I'm not blown away by it by any means, but like you said, it feels to me like this could be a motorcycle poster in some kid's bedroom. So for that reason, I feel like I have to give it 4 stars, just because it's like up to the standard of other motorcycle pictures.
We should do a
day.
critique of like 14-year-olds posters.
Yeah.
And see if they all deserve 3 stars because they're posters. I mean, when you go to Walmart and you still see the posters somewhere?
I know.
You flip through them, I think some of them aren't as good as you would.
Maybe you're right. The community gives this one 2.9 stars, so they agree with you more than me. Ooh, man.
Where's the car? I'm making fun of myself here.
3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree. This feels to me like awesome Windows computer wallpaper. Like this is what I'd want like my desktop to be. I feel like this could be a great art print in
Sonic or something.
A restaurant, a diner, or some sort of modern hotel or something. It just.
And it has the least amount of car of any of the picture. I guess some have had motorcycles, but like this is very, very abstract.
The other interesting thing is, I wonder how much of this is Photoshop. Like I imagine the yellow is all Photoshop, but then I wonder if the blue is all Photoshop as well, just to make it look perfect. Because if you look at the chrome, it looks like this was just taken in a parking lot.
Yeah, it looks kind of...
Like the chrome does not look very good. But then when you look at the shadows that are on the Bel Air logo, and then I don't know what the white part's called, but it looks great. It's almost like too good.
This is almost one of those things where it could just be a snapshot, and then somebody who's great with design
I think that's exactly what it is.
made this thing that we're rating really high. But it's cool. Like
we're rating. I'm dropping my drink here. We're rating it as like art more than we are a photograph and how much it was done in camera versus in a
But imagine
computer.
if you had a brochure or something for a car like this. I mean, if they wanted to go in like a completely different direction, this could be like the opening page of the pamphlet. And you're like, I want to look at that one. And then you open it up and like the next double page spread is a classic shot of the car, you know, from the side or something.
Yeah.
Or it's the last page, and then over here you would have like the dealer's information or something like that.
I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful shot and beautiful graphic design. So well done, whoever did that. Community gives it right around 3 stars. Are you ready?
I think so.
3, 2, 1.
I want to give this a 2. I just feel like enough planning has gone on into this, and it looks like an expensive photograph that I'm kind of pushing it towards 3.
I agree.
But I don't necessarily like this. The first thing I don't like about it is I'm finding myself, and it's like the two things are competing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is the yacht more important or the car more important? And I feel like that shouldn't be the case if you're trying to. You almost should like zoom in. I mean, maybe you can't even tell it's a yacht anymore, but like diminish the yacht a little bit more. The second that you see the yacht's name up there, and I don't know, maybe you have more experience looking at car photos. I don't know if this camera angle is the best angle for the car, and therefore it diminishes the car, and it makes.
Does.
But you know, it's got nice leading lines, and like it is an interesting editorial type of image.
I agree. Yeah, that's the hard part. I could definitely give this a 3-star. I like the color grade that's on this as well. It's got this weird teal gray color grade.
It's got a lot of golds and warmth in it too, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, it is. It is nice. My eye immediately went to the boat first, which is a little strange, and then I went to the car, and the first thing I noticed about the car was the lighting on the car, and I just thought like, it just kind of looks like a snapshot.
The lighting on the back window is really bad too. You can like see the neighboring building reflected into it or something, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure what of that is like the engine versus a reflection.
I mean, that looks like a pavilion or something.
Maybe you're right. I'm not sure what that looks like. I mean, if you put another car in this shot, like, you know, if this was a Honda Accord in this shot, it would definitely be a 2. But the fact that
this is what,
it's a
Tommy Hill. Oh, Ferrari?
Yeah, it's a Tommy Hilfiger.
I just saw the little
It's
horse.
a 2018 Tommy Hilfiger. You know, it definitely raises the value a little bit. It's just kind of a strange composition to me.
If you had pulled, if there was a way, I don't know if it's a different time of day and like the yacht's now in golden light, or if you like brought the exposure down and you could make the car pop a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Maybe there is a way to get it to where like, oh, this yacht and car go together, but it's really about the car. I don't know. I still think it's kind of a cool picture, so I still stand by my 3.
Community gives it 2.46. They agree with us right in the middle.
Yeah. Oh. This is a Ford. I know this car.
It's got the police light up there.
Yeah.
Look.
What is that? A Ford Enforcer?
Yep, it's a Ford Enforcer. 3, 2, 1.
A 1?
Of course, it's a 1.
I think like it's so sharp and the depth of field, like
the depth of field is deep throughout the entire shot. They could have pre-focused, or maybe the rock in the front's a little blurry, but they could have back focused on that tree.
They got the horizon pretty straight, the composition.
It's not, though.
I don't know. I mean, 1 and 2, it's like, it's still not supposed to be in your portfolio.
I want to know, I'm going to sound like an ass if this isn't a joke, but I want to know if somebody's just messing with us with this submission. The other thing I'm curious about, I made a few jokes last time about pictures of your riding lawnmower, so if there's any pictures of the riding lawnmower that come up.
I mean, I wish the like spotlight was pointed out.
Come on, what are you going to critique this for real?
Yeah, and like you also want the tires, like you want the Ford to be legible.
Come on.
And you want, what is this piece of the car called?
The side,
The siding.
the side of the car, you want that on there?
You want that
You don't
on-
want that falling off?
You want that on there.
And you want like the paint to be on the car?
They
You
did
don't
do-
want the paint to be off the
They
car?
did do the tire turn the right way.
They did. And you see when like up here, it's got like the wind guard, but only on the back window, the rain guard. It's nice if you have 2 rain guards.
For sure, but
like,
that's getting really nitpicky.
yeah.
I think somebody's trolling us with this one. They've got to be. We should start this video like the other ones where it's like crazy hyped up.
All right. The community gives this 1.1 stars.
Where, Missouri or Mississippi?
I think that's Mississippi.
Yeah, leave it to Mississippi for that.
Interesting.
This is like Dan Blazarian.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree. Now, when you compare this back to the racing rally car at the beginning,
totally different. I feel like that car has actually been racing and you're filming an event. This is probably like, I guess this could be like a higher end race, but I get the vibe that like this is a super expensive car this guy takes care of, and they went out in the desert and took pictures of this. I mean, you think there's rallies with cars that look this clean and nice all the time? I mean, I guess there's a market for anything, so there probably is.
Yeah, I don't know that this car looks really nice. It's.
I mean, it's not missing. It's not beat up and like.
It hasn't wrecked yet.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if this was a photo shoot, commercial photo shoot, or if this was a race. I will say, doesn't it appear that something weird's going on with the lighting? Like, if you look at the shadow being cast by the car, you'd think that the sun is up and to the right.
It's got to be from the plants.
But then look at how nice the lighting is on the camera left side of the car. It's almost like there's a flash on the left side of the frame hitting the back and the right side of the car, but the
maybe
left side.
maybe that subliminal lighting is why I'm thinking this is more set up than just being out on the track.
I agree, and look at the way these tires are lit. The tires on camera right have dark shadow, like you would expect there to be outside in bright daylight, but on the left, there's no more shadow over there. I think that there's some heavy. I don't think so. I think if they dodged it, they would have dodged it on the other side. I think there's a heavy flash going off on this truck.
I mean, shouldn't you be able to
You'd think you'd be
see
able
it
to,
in the reflective parts of the car?
I would have thought you'd be able to see it in the tire. Like the tire, you'd be able to see a little motion blur with a flash pop catching it. But we don't have a super high-res shot. But cool image. The community gives this one 3.27.
Ooh, this is the ZZ Top car. This is the sharp dressed man. How do you even?
How does it drive?
Yeah, isn't it touching right there?
I know. So crazy. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. You give it 4.
I think this is one of the better shots we've seen. I mean, it's definitely a little out there with the post-production, but it's an out there car. I mean, I keep thinking, how does this car drive? And I'm losing my excitement over the photography just with the curiosity of like, is this front tire flat?
I think it's called a stance. That's what the kids call it.
The
these
stance?
days, I think.
Is that like dubstep? What is a stance?
I think it's when they make the tires go like out on the sides. It looks ridiculous, but it's like a trend.
Oh, but do the kids these days own this car?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, this has to be their dad.
I don't know. I gave this 3 stars because I guess I just feel like maybe 1, I'm a little biased because I don't really like the car itself that much, but I'm trying not to be biased about that. 2, the lighting, I don't love the lighting. I think it's okay. Definitely 3-star lighting on the car. The fact that it's just on this like ugly asphalt that hasn't been cleaned off, it just looks kind of cheap to me. And then, we've got this crazy sky in the background that was obviously put in Photoshop. It just feels a little cheaper to me than some of the other ones, especially when you compare this to the finesse of the Acura NSX shot.
Now, definitely now that you mentioned the ground, like you can see these lines going all the way through, and it'd be so
such
easy
an
just
easy
to
fix. Yeah.
to retouch those out.
But I still gave it 3 stars. Community gives it 3.36. Hey.
Is that a GTX?
No, it's a Mustang, and I've got a Mustang that's for sale right now, actually.
Definitely doesn't look like that. I would actually not be ashamed to get in the Mustang if it looked like this.
My Mustang looks cooler than this.
I don't know. That's up for debate.
All right, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1. I went 4, you went 3. So you think that this blue car shot is better than this Mustang shot?
Did I give them both 3s? I've already forgotten.
I thought you gave the blue car a 4.
A 4? Maybe I just want to see a little. I mean, I definitely like the style of this. Like, that's a cool, memorable photograph. Where the other one might not be as much. Mm-hmm. But the other car, I feel like, is more memorable, where this car is a little more common.
So
it's just a little weird to me. Like, it's a little more conceptual. And I guess this one is too. Like, that's kind of a weird conceptual shot as well. But I just don't see Mustang using this as advertisement. But it's kind of a little more polished and a little more towards advertisement in the way that it's presented. So it's this weird juxtaposed thing where it's not like fine art necessarily. It's very polished.
Oh, yes, it is. So here's my thought on this. I think the lighting on this car is fantastic. Maybe there's a few things that you could clean up just a little bit. I see a few like highlights that are, just clipping a little bit that could be fixed.
The back rear wheel or something.
Well, I'm looking on the body of the car. If you look at the very back of the car, it's got like this one little weird highlight. I think this could also be interesting with just a little bit of the running lights on to add to it. The lighting on the wheels, I feel like the lighting on the back wheel is a little bit better than the lighting on the front wheel. And then I think I'd like to see a little bit more light on the front and back end, just to really
just point
out.
It straight at them.
Yeah, just to show like what's up there because it's a little dark right now. But I feel like overall I love the lighting on this car. Now the cave is super interesting, but the fact that the cave is red, I'd love to see this shot where the red cave is desaturated and
just like a gray.
Gray, yeah, I think that could be really interesting. And if you look like above the top of the car,
a little brush stroke or something.
There's like some blooming or something going on. I'm not exactly sure, but you can see this kind of halo.
How do you feel about the black gradient on the window? Do you feel like you wish the window was a little like
it's
had a little more highlight in it or something?
Maybe, and in another way,
or
I'm like,
just
it's kind of interesting. So I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. I would love to know though how you lit this car because I feel like there's aspects of it I really like and then other aspects that I feel like could be worked on a little bit. But I still give this image 4 stars. I think it's really nice and the cave is a really interesting concept. It's just different.
I don't know if I love this whole foreground thing. I mean, it kind of makes it feel like it's sitting on a pedestal or something. I don't know. If you zoomed in, do you like that better or worse than if you made it a little more on the car?
I don't know. It's a cool shot, though. Let's see what the community gives it. 2.71. Interesting. They don't like it as much as me. They don't even like it as much as you. Jurassic Park. Now, I was going to rate this poorly, but then I noticed pterodactyls. So...
Were those ever proven to be real?
If there's one of the dinosaurs, they're like, oh, we made a mistake.
I don't know.
I think pterodactyls are real.
Do you think the logo is just thrown on this car, or this car is actually like from the real Jurassic Park?
I do not think this is from the real Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time.
They clearly shot this at Jurassic Park, though. Like, look at the background.
But yeah, I think this is a homage to the movie, and this is not a real movie car. Okay, are we ready? 3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. I mean, this kind of looks like a joke picture you'd put on like Facebook or something to me.
Or it looks like advertising for like the micro machine of this. Like, to get kids' attention.
Well, what's funny is it looks like the advertisement for Micro Machines back in 1992.
Well, yeah. Like
It doesn't look like current Micro Machines
Well,
advertising.
funny enough, I would have thought Micro Machines don't even exist anymore, but I was just in one of those like sell everything stores in Massachusetts, and they had Micro Machines, and I was like, I haven't seen these in like 20 years. So they do still exist, unless those were new old stock, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a snapshot of this car, and then the pterodactyls. They're not really very realistic.
Now, if you made the background really dark and eerie, like the new Jurassic Park movie posters,
and you put like the glass orb that you get to ride in.
the one that rolls?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the new one?
Oh my gosh.
It was awful.
I hate it so much. I hate it. I hate them all so much except the first one. The first one's like my favorite movie ever. Every other one,
I was reading
get
Rotten Tomatoes,
angry.
and they said the third one. And I don't know, they're not named in a way that I can keep track, but like Jurassic World 2 maybe was the third one. People really liked that. It had like a 80...
Jurassic Park.
Maybe it was Jurassic World 2.
Jurassic World 2 just came out.
I can't keep up. It's the third one they released.
Anyway, community gives it 2.07 stars. They agree with us 100%. Ooh,
Oh my God!
Look at that.
Look at that. I'm ready. I'm gonna blow your mind. I'm not looking at that.
Oh man, this is tough. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
What did you give it?
I gave it 3, but I was expecting, I was thinking 3 or 4.
The lighting, the retouching, the execution, like there's so much that makes this like a 4-star probably as a starting point. I just feel like, and maybe I'm very naive in this genre, but I feel like this is just way too wide. And it's like this black line here, my eye keeps going to this dash that just seems super warped. And I keep going back to like someone like Mike or somebody who'd be like, just make it tighter. And I feel like you've put this fisheye as far out as you can while still trying to get all of the angles. And then you've done an incredible job lighting it and getting the gradients and the mirrors and everything. Like, it looks great. It looks so wide to me that it looks kind of goofy.
Okay.
And because of that, I think if you wanted to get in this genre, it's one of those telltale signs. Is that the phrase?
Telltale.
This is one of those telltale signs where you're like, he's a real estate photographer who shoots way too wide. I feel like maybe you would look at this and be like, that's not what, let's get it back to where it's supposed to be. That's not what an interior shot would look like.
Okay, I think that's a fair critique and an easy fix. I mean, all you got to do is crop in, and I agree. I mean, seeing that whole long passenger dash and then
Do you need the like airbag warning and stuff?
Yeah, there's some details, and then the bottom right, there's like some weird mesh thing that holds stuff in. I feel like you could just kind of minimize it a little bit because my eye went right to that. It looked like a dirty carpet down there. I feel like the lighting in this is good, but in some places I feel like it's way too much. For example, I think the lighting on the steering wheel looks really nice. Maybe even that's a little overlit in places. But if I look at the center dash where it's got the 4 air vents and then it's got all of the buttons below it, I think that's overlit. I think it should be lit from one direction, and I feel like you should really play with the shadows that it's creating. But it looks like you've cross-lit it from both sides. You've kind of killed all of the shadows, and so for me, it cheapens the shot because I feel like the door and the seat looks nice. Like look at all the shadow that's being played with on this door and then on the bottom of this driver's seat.
Yeah.
I feel like it looks really nice. And then you kind of see the right half of this image, and it's just like, wow, there's light coming from all over the place. The other thing that kind of bums me out, and I think would fix this and make me not focus so much on like the light direction on the dash, would just be to add a scene rather than the gray gradient in the glass.
What would that scene be?
I mean,
It needs to be like a nighttime scene, right? Or can you
maybe,
put something?
Maybe so. I think you could put a daytime scene in there too. But I mean, it's so fun. I mean, I'm sure you've already done the work and you've cut everything out with the pen tool. So now you can just drop any background you want in there and just kind of see what works. But I feel like
you
this is very
definitely zoom
close.
in and move it to get rid of the right side of the frame. I don't know where it should sit. Maybe that's not important. I don't know.
Yeah, but awesome shot. A lot of potential there. Community gives it 3.39 stars. It's funny. It's funny when people take pictures posing next to like really old cheap cars. You know, like maybe this is your car, the photographer, and you love this car or whatever, but like,
is this a thing now? Is this what all the hip kids are doing? Is like they're taking models and posing next to cars? Is this like from the 80s? What is
it doesn't
this?
look like it's from the 80s. If it were from the 80s, it would make a little bit more sense.
The photo is not from the 80s. I'm saying the car. What year is this car?
Yeah,
it's like
looks,
an 85
it looks
something?
like an 80s. I don't know much about it, but it looks like an 80s car. And, you know, but this guy looks like a modern guy dressed like somebody today. So it's just kind of funny to be like, I'm James Bond and I'm walking in front of a $2,200 car. It's just a little strange.
What is all the stuff above the...
I don't know what is in the background of this shot. That's really weird. Okay, I guess we have to rate it. 3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. You know, you take everything about this car and you put like an Aston Martin back there. Everything about this photo and you put an Aston Martin back there. And then maybe you take out the weird dots that are in the sky. I don't know what that is. It could look pretty cool. But right now, it's just a little strange when you have like the model in front of the cheap car. It doesn't really work.
There is something there that I know I always think in these really like left field ways, but there is something that I like just thinking creatively of using old cars with modern photography. Like this isn't it, but I think you could play around with that where you have like either you dress the people up like they're from that period and you go the Stranger Things route of like enjoying and embracing everything that was, you know, from the 80s and 90s. Or maybe you could juxtapose that and like get this guy to look super modern and then put this car back there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if this was done with incredible lighting, then you can pull anything off. But this just kind of feels like a snapshot to me. It doesn't feel like much thought was put into the lighting. I wouldn't assume there's any lighting here.
Yeah.
I imagine this is...
Their antennas back in the day always go off to the right like that?
Probably went through the car wash. Community gives it 2.72 stars, so they like it more than us.
Is that our last image?
That is our last image, so thank you guys so much for submitting.
I was not sure I was going to make it through that.
You're about to fall asleep?
No, I know nothing about cars. Like, cars are not my thing. I never went through that period as a child. I don't really care about cars.
Well, now that you got some money,
I could afford a really nice car, and I'm like, I don't care. I drive a 2010 Highlander.
Soccer mom car.
And if I had a garage, I might upgrade my car. What did you just get? Because your car looks ridiculous, too.
I just bought a BMW i3. And it's ridiculous looking, I absolutely know, but I love this car. This is just kind of like an around town car.
It is kind of fun to drive.
My fourth car.
I've only drove it for like 10 minutes, and it is fun, but...
It's so quick and nimble, and like, oh, I can talk to it with my phone, tell it to turn the AC on. It's awesome. And they're cheap. They're cheap now. So definitely look into that if you're looking to upgrade. But if you'd like to be a part of the next critique, make sure you go to the link in the description below. Once again, it's going to be beauty photography. Make sure you have professional models. Like, we're gonna ream you. If you get your sister or your girlfriend to model and they don't
all
look
you
like
got
a
to do
model,
before you submit the next few days is like go to CVS and look at the magazines and then go down like where they have the hair dyeing products and just look at all of the beauty products. And if your pictures or models aren't up to that standard, I mean, you can still submit them. So
you can submit
So we'll have
them.
something to talk about, but I just want people not to think that we're like these model snobs when you can see what the standard is at any grocery store or, you know, CVS.
All right, guys, for more information just like this every single day, head over to fstoppers.com. And if you'd like to check out our tutorials that you can win for free by winning the next critique, head over to fstoppers.com/store.
Let's get out of here.